Hi YouTube, welcome to the shop. Today we got a little bit of a helper with some messy hair. It's about an hour before his bedtime and he got grounded, so he's not allowed to watch videos or play video games. So that gives him the chance to come down here and play in the shop for a little while.
Okay.
So today...
You may see me doing that a lot.
So in tonight's video, we're going to be doing some work on the motor for the belt grinder. I've already taken it down, as you can see the parts here on the bench. So I'm going to have to cut the end of the shaft off here and put in a key slot. So I'm going to be setting this up over on the mill. I'll cut the key slot, then figure out how to mount this in the lathe somehow, or maybe I'll just chop it off.
Seems like it's
I'll have to figure out how to actually
much of a challenge.
mount this to actually cut this off.
So
let's head over to the mill.
So guys, we're back. Is there anything that happened?
Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get this set up on some angle blocks and try to get it indicated in so that it's square this way and flat this way.
Daddy, do I close it back up?
No, leave it there.
Okay.
Alright, Benjamin, you tell them what we just did.
So we perfectly indicated this to make it perfectly flat and have, if we do cut this, a perfectly straight line.
Exactly. So how did we do this going this way?
So
Why don't you show them how we did it? Move the tape, move it so the indicator's at this end again.
okay, move it to the indicators at this end.
Yep, there you go.
And
Make sure you don't bang into the edge here, so you want to get just close.
What about here?
That's good enough.
Okay.
And then zero it out.
Okay.
All right, and then now move it to the other side and show them that it doesn't move.
Wait, this way. See? It does not move at all. Last time it moved a little bit, but this time it actually didn't.
Yep. So that gets us square on our x-axis, right?
Yes.
So this style here moves it in the x-axis, which is this way.
Yes.
This one does the y-axis, which is this way.
Yes.
You know what this one does?
This one does the flat.
Well, if this is x and this is y, what would you think this one would be?
Z.
Yeah! You made it easy. This is the g-axis. Oh, wait, no. All right, so now we want to double check on that. So we're going to take
I'm going to
this.
show you guys how we did it. Just touching.
All right, so move it all the way down to the other end again.
Is it touching?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
Remember, just before you get to the thing, about the same spot. There you go. Now move the table up until it's zeroed. You're not engaged. Look, Benjamin, right here.
No.
See, these teeth have to be in there. There you go.
To the camera.
Oh, too much.
Oh, too much.
All right, that looks good.
Okay.
It's kind of hard for you to see, huh? I don't know if they can see it in the camera or not. All right, go ahead and move it over.
Has it moved?
Nope.
Still hasn't moved. We're good.
And then you fell in the hole, so
Yeah, I found
that's
the hole.
okay. All right, so now we have it indicated in. We're going to go ahead and get a 1/4 inch end mill and put in here.
Yes.
And begin the cut. And we're just going to start cutting into here until we are the right depth. So I'm going to measure the depth on the wheel and then double check the measurement of the key and then cut the depth that we need going this way.
Yes. And it's a
I'll
like
bring it back
button
once
if
we
you
get that lined
enjoy.
up.
Really? I was the one who bought material for this and I was slower.
All right, that's probably enough.
Okay.
All right, so now we got to do edge finding so we can get ourselves on the center of the shaft here. Move the part over to the edge, and it's going to get really still. then it's going to kick over. It should be that way. Nope. You see it? Right there. So then we're going to zero everything out here. And back up. Go up. And we're going to come all the way over here. And go back down. We're going to do the same thing going this way. And then we'll kick over. And I'll back up and do it one more time. Now, we can go ahead and shut the bricks off for you. And we're going to go y-axis, 1/2, and then load. So now, this number, if we put this 0, so we touched this side and this side.
Yes.
So now we've measured that, and then we took half of that.
Yes.
So that will move us into the center. Watch
Got
this. So if we go up, now we watch this number up here. I'm going to spin this until it's on 0.
We spin it till it's on 0. Okay.
Yep.
Does it need to be perfectly on 0?
As close as we can get.
We could probably get it perfectly on 0.
Yep.
Perfect.
Alright, so now if we go down, see where that's at?
Yo, perfect center.
Yep.
At the time, you're not even making a video. You just prepping for it.
Yep. Alright, so measuring the key slot on the wheel, and we were right around 130 to 140. It's kind of hard to measure it down in that depth there. So here we're going to go about 125 deep. So I'm going to come down and touch off.
Jeez, I touched the light. Is that okay? So is that center? Like we were?
Yep.
Okay.
Alright. So we're going to go ahead and turn it on. And we'll double check. We're going the full length here. All the way from there. Back this way. Right there. We're going to zero this out. And we're going to go up about 100 thousandths.
No, Steve, near me. No, no, no.
Alright, so Benjamin's mom just showed up and told him it's bedtime. Now that the rotor's cleaned up, I got to remember how all of this goes back together. So let's get it reassembled. Alright, it should be back together now. I'm going to go ahead and grab a pigtail and wire it up, and then we will plug it into the new phase converter and see how it goes. I temporarily wired in this little pigtail just to the 3 phases and the ground. This will be able to plug into the rotary phase converter. So let's head over to there and see if this motor still spins. First we'll get the phase converter started up. I found, if you saw my phase converter video, I had mentioned that sometimes it would try to kick the wrong direction getting started. So what I found, if I just give it a little kick in the right direction this way, it starts up pretty easy every time. Double check, make sure everything's working. The bandsaw is currently plugged in, so I'll go turn the bandsaw on. Alright, we know that everything's working, power's running. Now let's try plugging in the motor. Hopefully there's not too much torque. This doesn't seem to be working quite right. I'm only getting load on 2 pins, and it sounds odd coming through here, so I think something might be reassembled wrong. Hopefully we didn't break anything during the disassembly and reassembly. Alright, a quick catch up on the troubleshooting. I went ahead and got my old little rotary phase converter and brought it over, plugged it in, and it works fine. So we can verify that really fast. So I knew the motor was still good, and realized that it must be something wrong with this plug on the rotary phase converter, or some other thing in the wiring that the bandsaw was okay with, but it wouldn't start the motor. I opened this up and found that one of the leads going into this plug had actually come loose. So I realized what it was, and it was the way these plugs were mounted. And I had a hard time getting into those screws. It was one of those things while I was putting it all together, I told myself I'd come back and fix it, and never did. So they were always a little bit loose, and I think the little bit of vibration, it just worked itself out. So now I went ahead and went back and I pulled one of them out so that I could actually get in and torque down on them really good. They should be good now. I just plugged it back in, get it kicked up and going. And let's see how it does now. quick recap of what we actually just did. So this motor, when I originally got it, it had this extra long shank on here, and I was able to press this off after a little bit of heat. Then we cut this guy off from the bandsaw. Before that though, I went ahead and put in this this slot, which the key slot was the main piece we were trying to get in place. So that will hold the key for this wheel, which I don't want to push all the way on right now because I'll have to press it off because it's a pretty snug fit. And I still have one last thing to do on this guy, which is to drill and tap and put in a little set screw. So let's go ahead and set up for that and get that part done. So I got the wheel mounted in this grinding vise, and then that's actually mounted down to the table, and that's just to hold it steady while I set everything up. Drilled and tapped it for the set screw. Alright, so the final assembly on this, I've got the key in place, we've got the set screw drilled and tapped. Now this guy can just slide onto here, and then it can just be tightened down. Alright, that wheel's ready. On to wiring up the variable frequency drive. I've gone ahead and went to Home Depot. I just picked up an extension cord that I was able to sacrifice. It's a little bit cheaper actually than buying lengths of wire. So I just got it, I cut it, I actually put a 220 head on it and then wired in the ground and then the two legs of the 220. Then using some wire that I had, went ahead and wired up the 3-phase out, and then it's going to ground terminal over here. And then following the wiring for the low voltage, I went through the wires down in the box here. I identified them by number, so like this one here is 2. So 2 and 8 have to be wired together. So we have 2 and 8 here. 3. I'm finding the numbers a little bit difficult, but anyway, so they're all wire tied together, one to each of the legs here, and then of course the ground is plugged into the grounding screw there. And for the final test, I've got the extension cord that goes to my 220 outlet and the new cord that I just made that plugs into the variable frequency drive, gives it power. Then it's got a momentary switch for turning it on, so it's got the on position and then the actual start. That's at about 20%. One thing I don't like, the variable frequency drive that I got, this the KB Electronics, it's really nice, it was super simple, wired it up and it just works. So I don't have to worry about all the fiddling and programming and everything like I did with the others. The bad thing, at least this particular one, does not have an on-off switch. So I'm going to have to add an actual on-off switch in order to make it so I can turn it off. Otherwise it has to be unplugged in order to actually stop power going into it. Otherwise, it's running really well. In both directions and in pretty much all speeds. So I won't know until I've actually got it on the belt sander whether or not the forward and reverse is correct, but that's not a problem. I can always come into here and reverse two of the leads here. Just swap, red and black or whatever's easiest to get to. But that's it for the motor. It is set and ready to be mounted. The last portion that I have to do will be the platen, which I have all of the parts already out and available. I just need to finish a few cuts, weld everything up, and turn the wheels. Until then, that should be the next and last video, at least for the initial building of the 2x72.